slide.
I hope you can hear what I'm saying. Can you just show me whether you are by saying yes on the chat for a second? Can you hear me clearly? Perfect. Excellent. Um, Welcome to the webinar for Indonesian students. My name is Abhilash and I am here to present to you, along with three of my colleagues, Andres, Jens, and Linda, and for Indonesian students, the application process and general know-how for the next few weeks that you have ahead of you. This webinar has been an invitation to this webinar has been sent only to students from Indonesia who have made an application. So I'm assuming that all of you, right now we've got 13 participants in the webinar. I'm assuming that all of you are applicants, right? So the information here will be only for applicants. On the next slide, we will look at the agenda for the day. And the agenda for the next 40 minutes is we've got first 5 minutes is going to be a presentation of the rules of the webinar. The next 10 minutes will be an information about the applications and admissions, as in like the next timeline. And then we've got 25-minute round of Q&A. Could you speak louder, please? I'm going to fix that. Just a moment. I'll change a small piece of detail. I hope you can clearly hear me now. It should be much better. Can you? Yes, excellent. All right. So we will then go on to the round of Q&A for the last 25 minutes. Now, I would like you to know that we will be answering as many relevant questions as possible, and it will be done basically through a presentation, as in a discussion between me and the 4 students we have over here. All right. The questions you will be raising will be through the Q&A pod, not the chat pod. I will be closing the chat pod now that we have established that the audio and the video are working very well. I go hide. And there you go, the chat is off. So moving on to the first part of today, the presentation of the rules of the webinar. 1, you do not need to activate your microphone. 2, you do not need to activate your camera. 3, you will use not the chat but the Q&A pod when it is time, and I will tell you when it is time. 4, all the questions will be answered in the 25 Q&A, and when I say all the questions, what I mean is that we will be answering all the relevant questions, right? So if there are questions that are outside the framework of this webinar, we will not be answering those questions. We will take them up at another time and date. And if you have questions that are relevant that have not been answered within the framework of this webinar, you can always address them to nextstop@chalmers.se, and we will take them up at the time we come to them. The next slide is about Chalmers University of Technology. It was, if you all don't already know it, it was started by William Chalmers, and William Chalmers started it in 1829. In the almost 200 years that the university has existed, we have about 40 master's programs. They are all taught in English and all run full-time for 2 years. So you will be full-time master's students at Chalmers, which means you will be called Chalmerists, and you will become one of those 10,000 Chalmerists that are on campus today. There are about 2,600. Of those 10,000, about 2,600 are master students. So you will be one of those 2,600. And out of those 2,600, there are 900 that are international. So you will be part of that 900 actually. There are about 400 exchange students as well within this group. In addition to this, we have about 3,000 staff members at the university, including people like me, the admissions unit, professors, doctoral students, so on and so forth. We in fact have one doctoral student today with us in the discussion. The university is located on the west coast of Sweden, also known as the best coast of Sweden. It's in the city of Gothenburg. The city of Gothenburg has 2 Chalmers campuses, and that is Campus Johanneberg and Campus Lindholmen. These 2 campuses are connected to each other by a bus number 16. There's also an electric bus number 55 that runs between these 2 campuses that is a result of something called the triple helix. The triple helix is a concept where education, industry, and society work together to create a synergy so as to result in a sustainable solution. In this case, the problem was public transport. The solution is also public transport, but electric public transport. And the solution was created by Chalmers Education, Volvo industry, and the public transport system society. These three actors work together to produce this result, and it is an electric bus which is very efficient in the sense that one, it's an electric bus, of course. Two, it also gives you amenities such as a USB ports to charge your phones and also onboard Wi-Fi. Housing, student housing is all over the city. So there is no concept of on-campus housing. It's actually all over the city. And since you've got a really well-functioning public transport system, there is no problem getting from point A to B, whether that is from university to home, home to friend's place, or any other meeting you might have. On the next slide, we are looking at application and admission, the timeline. You already know that the first two deadlines have been passed. So our application window was open between mid-October and mid-January, and that was the 16th of January. The 16th of January was the deadline for the master's applications and also for scholarship applications. So I hope that all of you have made your applications already. Next, deadline comes on the 1st of February. This deadline is for two things. One, to ensure that your documentation has been submitted. Two, that your application fee has been submitted. This is very important for your application to be considered valid. Any change you make to your application, that is, if you remove a program, it's okay. But if you add a program now to your application, it will be considered a late application to that program. The 24th of March is the deadline, or actually it's the date on which you get the first round of results. The first round of results is something that comes to everybody that has made an application. And you get three stages. One, you've been admitted. Two, you've not been admitted. Three, you are on wait list. So depending on what your situation is, you will get a result on the first round of results. Those that get the admitted on the 24th will then be given a question, do you accept or decline your offer of admission? If you say yes, that's the end, and then you continue to do what you're supposed to do to get a visa, so on and so forth. But if you say no, then your seat will be recycled, so to speak, for waitlisted candidates. So those that got waitlisting on the 24th will get their results of admission or decline of admission on the 21st of April. That is the second round of results, followed by the 23rd of May, which is the deadline for the payment of fees as such. So if you've gotten a scholarship or not, it doesn't matter. Whatever amount of fees you're supposed to pay, you pay it before the 23rd. And finally, you will arrive at Chalmers on the end of August. All right. On the next, the key dates are, you can find more information about these dates and explanations on chalmers.se/keydates. On the next slide, we look at the checklist for applications. Basically, your documentation can be divided into three groups. One is the general and the mandatory documentation. This documentation is for everybody, and everybody must mandatorily submit these documents. So that includes diplomas, transcripts, passports, English requirements, so on and so forth. This documentation must be submitted by everybody, right? Then you've got the specific documentation. Now, depending on the program you're applying to, you might need to submit something extra. For example, if you're applying to architecture, you might need to submit a portfolio. Or maybe you're studying a program which has very specific requirements and you need to prove those requirements, in which case the university will reach out to you and ask you to submit proof of the fact that you have that requirement. For example, automotive engineering requires control theory. So then they will reach out to you and say, how do you prove that you've got control theory? You basically refer to your syllabus and say, look at this, I've got these points on my syllabus, therefore I have studied control theory. Finally, if you were a student that was applying for a scholarship, then you should have submitted your CV, your motivation letter, letters of recommendation, so on and so forth, just before the 16th of January, right? So that is basically for the scholarship application. Next, we are looking at some more important information about application and admission, and it comes to the English requirements. English requirements, we have chosen 3 right now to show you, but there are other tests also that we accept. In any case, these 3 tests, the IELTS, the TOEFL internet test, and the TOEFL paper-based test. As you can see, there are different scores that you need to keep to. Ensure that you keep these scores, and make sure that these requirements, these documents are received by university admissions before the 1st of February. It doesn't matter whether it is IELTS and you're scanning and uploading the documentation, or whether it is the TOEFL and it is ETS that is going to send the score directly to university admissions. One way or another, that score must reach university admissions by the 1st of February, right? The cover sheet is a document that is required only for regular post applications. So in case you are required to make an application by post, then ensure that the cover sheet is included. Otherwise, you don't have to bother about it. Remember that all of your documentation has to be in its original language. So for example, transcripts, diplomas, these have to be in their original language, which means that if the original language is not English, you must also submit official translations in English. Okay, you have short links down there, bit.ly/Chalmers documents and bit.ly/Chalmers checklist to be able to make to be able to find these documents. All right. On the next slide, we are talking about Chalmers student ambassadors. Chalmers student ambassadors are current students. They are students that study at Chalmers and are working to promote Chalmers, so to speak, by telling the world, by telling you how they feel about studying at Chalmers, how their life at Chalmers is, right? And the aspect that I want to bring out here is, you can only see 6 of them here. There are about 20 of them each year, right? And the aspect that I want to bring out is basically what's on the next slide, that you too can be a Chalmers student ambassador. You too can be somebody that studies at the university and can be proud of the education you receive at the university. Now, without much further ado, I'm going to invite our ambassadors to come and sit with us. We are going to have a discussion. I'm going to open up the Q&A pod and you're going to start asking questions there. Please remember, this is not a chat session. This is a Q&A session, which means that you're going to ask questions and we're going to try and determine whether that is relevant to this session and then answer them. All right. So you've got the Q&A pod open. Please start asking your questions and we will start answering them very soon. First, I will invite our ambassadors to come and join us. I will move to the side. Maybe you won't see me, but and I apologize for that. But let's get everybody to come and sit down. Come on, everybody. Yes. Right. I'm over here, just so you know, that's my hand. Let's start by getting an introduction out of you. Can we start with you, Ferry?
Oh yeah, my name is Ferry. I'm from Jakarta. I've been in Chalmers 6 years now. So yeah, I'm here.
You're a doctoral candidate.
I'm a PhD student. Yes.
Yes. What about you?
My name is Livi. I'm a second-year master's student and I'm studying international project management.
Perfect.
Okay. Hi, my name is Ariodin. I'm the student in Master Program of Production Engineering and it's my first year and I'm originally from Bandung. So hello.
Hello, my name is Aksa. I'm from Bandung. I'm a second-year master student in materials engineering.
Perfect. So we've got a nice mix over here. 2 second-year students, 1 doctoral candidate, 1 first-year student, and a variety of programs. And actually a good spread over Indonesia, I think. Right? So that's also a good thing. So anybody from Bandung, you can say hello if you want to. It doesn't matter. But let's dive right into the discussion and maybe you can start because you're the closest to the application period at the moment. How did it go about for you to make an application? Did you find any hiccups?
All right. Actually, it was very easy. It was very simple because the application was quite familiar with how I applied for my bachelor. So if you have experience to apply for the university for your bachelor in Indonesia, it's quite similar. It's centralized by a national institutions, and all the checklist is there. The instructions are very clear. So yeah, it was very easy.
So do you have any advice for them?
For you, like just follow the checklist and then just make sure that you have the priority set right, because some documents are hard to get, like the language certificates or your bachelor certificate, and then the rest will be following. Like I did my essay and motivation letter in the last, something like that.
Aha, right. Yeah, things that you can do yourself, maybe you can put it at the back, whereas things that you need from someone else, you need to prioritize. Is that something that you would also agree with, the 3 of you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any advice that you guys might have? Like, okay, we're from back then when we made an application. Do you have any advice for them?
Actually, I remember that to get translation of your bachelor degree, it will take some time, and you have to contact several people back then. So just make sure that all of this time required doesn't pass the deadlines, and also try to check your email regularly in case we need to contact you for something missing.
Right. How would you think in terms of life? I mean, you've basically gone beyond the masters and gone into a PhD, and you guys are doing your second year, you're doing your first year. How would you, in your own, perspective of having been at Chalmers, I mean, long term and short term, how has that been for you? Anybody, just it's a discussion. Everybody's welcome to pitch it.
Maybe the PhD.
The PhD can start and say, I lived here for 6 years.
Living in Sweden is really easy, I would say. I mean, of course, there is a little bit adaptation at the beginning, but then it's many stigma if people go abroad is can I survive and how is the cultural shock and so on. But then now we are living in this globalized world, so everybody is actually mixed. There are a lot of people from different countries, different foods are available, so it's very easy. But then, especially in Sweden, I mean, the living here is very nice because then maybe you have known that Sweden has ranked itself among the best in, let's say, safety, tolerance, and so on.
Right.
So yeah, it's one thing to consider.
Yeah.
So and my personal opinion is yeah, it's a really nice country. I mean, I've been living in several countries before. So I would gladly say that Sweden is my number one.
Nice.
No, it's number two. One is Indonesia.
Indonesia number one. Of course. Any other opinions for you guys?
I also agree with Mas Ferry that Sweden is a very nice country to live in because, like, actually, I have been living in Sweden for only 1 year, and I did an exchange to UK.
Yeah.
And by doing that exchange, I realized that Sweden is actually a very, very nice country to live in compared to UK. Not saying that UK is worse than Sweden, no, of course not. But it's just like it makes me realize that it's really nice to live here in Gothenburg because of like the people are so tolerant and it's just nice to live here.
Right.
With the culture and everything.
How has it been for you now that you just arrived like 6 months ago?
Okay, it's my turn. Yeah, it can be I only had been for 6 months, but I already visited other places in Europe last winter. And I can say that Gothenburg is a perfect place to live. It's not that big, it's not that small, it's just right. And it has a very good, it's logo. It has a very good, situation for you to study. And then I just love the tram in Gothenburg. Yeah, it's like the best tram I can take.
Yeah.
Okay. You heard about Sweden and Gothenburg from 3 people, so I want to share about you about studying in Chalmers. At first, it feels like first 3 months, I would say it's not that different from your bachelor. Like you'll be busy with studying, lab work, assignment, and stuff. But then you will get used to it, and you will have to interact with different people from different countries. So not only it will give you knowledge on your specific field, but it's also give you an experience how to interact with other peoples. And I think that's the most different aspect between when I was studying in my bachelor in Indonesia compared to here in Chalmers. You will have to interact with different people from different cultures and countries.
Yeah. Just to slightly take away from what we are discussing right now, we have a question which goes, what is the required CGPA and does having something between 2.5 and 3 affect the admissions? CGPA as such has not been stated anywhere on the website, anywhere on any place, simply because of the fact that it's not only your CGPA that decides whether you get admitted or not. It's the entire application. So what happens then is that your whole package is looked at, and it's not just a matter of whether you got a very high CGPA or whether you have a lot of work experience or not, right? So no, just the required CGPA does not exist for the simple fact that it's not the only thing that affects your application. Then there is a question of, is there any scholarship that is provided by Chalmers for a PhD student? I guess the PhD person should answer this question.
My answer will be no. There is no scholarship for PhD students. Why? Because we don't need scholarship. PhD students is paid. We are considered as work.
So you get a
then
salary.
You get salary. So if there is an open position and you apply, if you get, then you get salary, you get employed, you pay your taxes and so on. So no, we don't need scholarship. But then of course you can bring your own scholarship available. Let's say LPDP wants to support your PhD, then it's basically the same stuff. Then you find some professor that want to host you. But then yeah, there is some more technical needed there. But then yeah, we don't need scholarship.
No. How about the educational atmosphere in there is the question by Iful.
Probably the first year student is.
Yeah, the first year student. Let's get that
Compare it with your bachelor.
Okay, comparing to my bachelor, the educational atmosphere here is less stressful. I can say that the class is more relaxed, and then the docent, the lecturer, gives you more chance to discuss, give you chance to explore yourself, and then to have your own thought, to express your idea freely, and yeah, it helps you to explore. It helps you to improve yourself as a student. So it's very good. It's very good.
Do you guys agree, disagree? Do you have something to add, subtract?
I want to add that about the working load. At first, you will feel like it was nothing because in one term you only get 2 courses. You feel like okay, it's nothing, just 2 courses compared to our bachelor, which we have 5 or 7. But then you are wrong if you think like that because like all the assignments and all the reading you have to do and all the lab work or something like that, it's like probably equal or more than the load of 5 or 7 courses. You know that?
Yeah, it's more like the workload is more evenly distributed, so you work in constant pace and you don't have to procrastinate at the beginning and just like being hectic at the end. So it's like it's really nice here. The education atmosphere is like in constant pace.
Yeah,
Right.
so maybe if I can add something, it's very crucial. So the system in Chalmers is not semester like in Indonesia, where you have 6 months to study and then you do exams. But in Chalmers it's a quarter system. It means that in a year you have 4 quarters. 1 quarter consists of 7 weeks only. But then within the 7 weeks you only study 2 subjects. So there are pros and cons. Of course, the pros might be it's only 2 subjects. You can be very focused. You can manage your time better. Then you really finish something before you start another subjects, which is relevant later. But then the cons, of course, it might be very hectic because then you have to finish everything within 7 weeks. Then if there is a lot of you have to catch up quickly. If you go out for holiday for a week, it feels like forever because 1 week out of 7 is already majority. So that's one thing to consider. So it's 7 weeks. The pace can be slow and quick depending on the subject that you are taking. Like if you are management student, then maybe you can do already some group works within the first week.
Yes.
But then if you are going this very technical subject like me, nanotechnology, when I was doing my master, there was nothing really within a year. I didn't do anything. It's like it's like very boring.
Yeah, it's very
really
it's important to note that educational systems are very different between both Indonesia and Sweden to start with, and then at Chalmers it's even more different. And that workloads can be considered easy and difficult depending on where you come from. As in your way of looking at something is also very individual, right? You might be used to heavy loads thanks to the program structure at home, whereas over here it might be actually quite a lot of individual work which you don't do because you don't take the initiative, so it looks very simple. That could be also the case. So it's very much a matter of how you look at things also. I have a question here from Anvika that asks whether the TOEFL score sent directly to Chalmers and whether it being sent directly to university admissions has any kind of problem, so to speak, whether it will get registered or not. And usually both is okay, as in since you've sent it to Chalmers, it should usually get registered, but in this case you've also already sent it to university admissions, so there shouldn't be an issue with it at all. There's a question by Jack asking how much is the PhD salary and how much assistant lecture hours do you have to do to work?
PhD salary is enough to start a family, so don't worry. It's around if I have to put it in rupiah, maybe 32 million
What?
as a starter.
That's a lot of money, huh?
Yeah, but in rupiah. I wish it was in kroner. Yeah, 32 million rupiah. But then each year you get a salary increase. So yeah, it's one of the. I think it's beyond average throughout Europe, because in some part of Europe it can be very very low. That I know from my own experience.
Right, right.
So yeah, I think
We have one more question by Mahmoud Sobey. Am I allowed to work part-time, and if I graduate from Chalmers, will I easily find a job and get PR in Sweden? That's a very long-term question, right? I mean, he starts at studying and part-time work and goes all the way to PR, which will take almost 5 years. So he's making a 5-year plan here. What do you guys say? Do you think you have time for part-time work? Yeah, well, you don't need, but yeah,
there's some
yeah.
experience.
Yeah, actually, I did some part-time work. I used to teach math for 5th grader students, and like at the weekend, I used to clean people's house as well. So it's totally doable to do part-time works here.
Yeah.
And I don't think Chalmers has restrictions over that. So yeah, so it's totally doable. Even Sweden has a website where we can create an account and we can apply for some positions for part-time jobs.
And about the job application after graduate, currently I'm struggling to find it. So I'm trying to apply to many companies. So we'll see if it's easy or not, depending on how many applications I get accepted.
Yeah, you're just starting to make your application.
Yeah.
So now it's like you guys. You've just made an application and you're waiting for an answer from Chalmers. You're making your application to companies and you're waiting for an answer from the companies.
That's true.
So that's a parallel we can draw here. What about you?
Me, about the part-time, I had one Swedish friends who do the part-time jobs on the weekend and is doing quite well in the class, so I think it's fine. And then for the work, I guess it's important for you to try to learn Swedish, because when you manage to speak Swedish fluently, it will be a plus point for you.
Right. So there are many aspects here. The question is a very long-term question, and so we must take it by parts. The question about part-time work is, like you say, it is possible. It is extremely up to you. It is extremely up to the kind of program and the kind of courses you've chosen. If there is a heavy workload, we say at Chalmers, you're studying full-time, as I told you earlier. If you're studying full-time, that means that we expect that you're putting in 40 hours of work every week, which means that it can be pretty difficult sometimes to find time to do a part-time job. Now, if you are very efficient, if you are really good, you might manage to make that part-time job and even be good at class, like your Swedish friend, or even yourself. You are a very accomplished student yourself. So that is possible. When it comes to finding a job, then I guess there are many aspects to it. It depends on the economy as well. If there's a recession, then nobody's going to find a job anywhere in the world. But that said, let's say everything is going well, then I guess the language is actually quite a good point to bring up. That being able to speak Swedish is not a matter of oh, you're going to have an interview in Swedish and if you're not fluent, you won't find a job. No, that's not the aspect. The aspect that is being focused on here is, are you able to be social at work? If you're not able to make friends at work, then all of a sudden you start being unable to interact with people and unable to integrate within the company, which can lead to reduction in productivity. And that is the aspect that people are looking at when it comes to linguistics as an ability with the language. So that aspect is important. And then, of course, PR. If you work for a company for 48 months, that is 4 years in total. So, for example, how Ferry here has been doing his PhD for what now, 5 years, 4 years? 3 years. You're up for PR in 1 year now.
I applied for it last year.
There you go.
Waiting for it.
Yeah. So the thing is that PR is something that comes to you automatically. You don't apply for PR. You apply for a work permit extension, and at the end of 4 years, it automatically, if you reach those 48 months, it will automatically become a PR. So it's a matter of making an application, finding a job, doing the language, making a network. All of these things play together in order to come to that position where you can get to that, that PR that you want. Business Insider makes Sweden. Okay, this is Ahmad Imaduddin asking the question. Business Insider makes Sweden one of the most innovative country in their list. What they do for their university so that they can get that title, especially for Chalmers? Answers, guys? I mean, you're studying international project management. You've got a material scientist that's sitting in a lab and making things burn and burst. What do you guys think? Is it an innovative environment? Do you question your professors? Do you break lab equipment all the time?
I wish. It boils down to culture, I would say, because then even it applies in the education as well.
Mm.
Sweden might be the most innovative countries because it gives you freedom to do whatever you want, and that applies to the university as well. I mean, in Indonesia we have this stigma that you can only do what your supervisor tell you to do, and not really free and independent to do whatever you like. But then in Chalmers, in Sweden, especially in Chalmers, if you do a thesis or research work, it's basically this is the problem. If you want to approach, you approach. You are given license to use all the equipments that you need. There is no time limitation and so on. And if things doesn't work, they don't judge you from that. I mean, it's the process, it's the progress, so you are really free.
That you're learning.
Yes, because I just talked with my professor just a couple of days ago because we had these master students coming, but then he emphasized that your thesis will not be judged by how many successful experiments that you do. He said by himself, it's how you present your results, and it will be very useful for people that will read it. So it's not about how many good things that you do. If you fail, then you write this fail, and you make sure that nobody will
Make that mistake.
again.
Yeah.
So that one thing, and also Chalmers is really good at building research that's connected with industry. So you have heard from before this triple helix, university, government, and also industries, they work together. So there are a lot of projects that actually try to solve the real problem in the industries. So I mean, industry, okay, we have this problem with our car, let's say, then they put it in the university, can you do some research on it? So it's basically on the real research, real application. So you really know what's going on now and so on. So yeah, that's really on the basis of this situations.
Right. How is it? I mean, that was a lot of on the doctoral or research.
But maybe I need to add something because I was in Belgium as well for my masters. There we have the equipment that is very limited to use. I mean, master student cannot use it. It's limited to either PhDs or beyond. But then here I have free access to everything, even when I'm doing masters. So yeah, that really make a difference.
Yeah. How about you guys? I mean, I want to pick up your example because I saw that video that you posted on Instagram.
Okay.
What do you feel about that? About this question?
Oh, okay. I want to emphasize what Ferry said about that you're free to do whatever you want, until to the point that you don't know what do you want. Yeah, that was my experience. The first time when I started doing my master thesis, actually my professor said, yeah, just do whatever you want within this frame, and then I don't know what should I do.
Yeah.
Like, oh, then what? So actually that is the most effective stimulant for you to read again and again and again and gain knowledge. And after you gain enough knowledge, you start discussing with people. In my case, my supervisor, and we discuss and discuss, and you know more and more and more, and that's where you decide what do you want to do.
Yeah.
So because usually if you are told to do this and this and this, you are told to follow orders, not to think critically. So if you are told that you can do whatever you want, you just read. You need to know what do you want. So like you know what is needed, and it's in your mind. You will be more critical, so to speak. Yeah.
Right. Have you experienced this kind of environment in your class?
All right, about innovation. Actually, maybe I will take the matter into the fact that Chalmers has very strong relation with industry, because that's the first reason why I choose Chalmers as the place where I study, because I want to know the mix of academic knowledge and then the practical knowledge in the future, because you have to have broad option when you graduate, like either you become academician, you are self-employed, or become professional in the industry. So yeah, I think it's highly related to the collaboration between academic and industry in Chalmers.
Chalmers works very closely with industry around here, so it's like, and also Chalmers has a good reputation, so it's very easy if we would like to interview some companies, for example, that we say like we're Chalmers student and we would like to conduct an interview, and we just send emails to SCOF and FOFO, and they would really like to help you with the interviews because, like as I said before, Chalmers works very closely with the industries here.
Right. To put things, I mean, to summarize it, basically, you think that it's an innovative environment simply because there is critical thinking, and critical thinking is encouraged, which means that you can basically question anybody, whether that is a professor, whether that is your classmate, whether that is a supervisor. It does not matter. You can be critical about anything that you read or you hear or you're taught, and also at the same time you have access to technology, to labs, to equipment that you're able to work with at any point in time. So it's a combination of many factors that makes this possible for you. Excellent. I have another question here about what type of master's programs does Chalmers have? Chalmers has basically taught master's programs. Research is built into the program. So basically all of these people, when they do a program, you have classes of course, but research is implicit. It is not that you do only research or you do only classes, you do a mix of both. Another question I have is, did you guys experience culture shock when you came to Sweden?
Surprisingly, not really.
Not really.
Yeah, I mean, I would have expected to experience some culture shock, but it's just like Swedish culture is slightly similar to Indonesian culture because we both promote consensus, so it's like as long as everybody is happy and we're slightly indirect, like in Indonesia we have this term of sungkan, and I think if you guys understand, and I think Swedish people are slightly more sungkan as well, and like we're really considerate towards each other, so it's really nice here. Yeah.
Sweet. Do you guys agree?
I agree.
Yeah, okay. So there you go, no problems.
No cultural shock, but maybe weather shock.
Yeah, yeah, it's better than
Yeah,
sunlight
wait,
shock.
yeah, but that's something that I remember. Don't you guys have some common words between Swedish and Indian and Bahasa?
Gratis and handuk.
I really like the words gratis.
Kopling.
Coupling.
Coupling.
Yeah.
Pistol.
Pistol. Okay.
Pistol as well?
All right. So we have some common words as well. So I guess it kind of makes it easier in a way. I don't know. Maybe when you want to buy a towel, then it gets easier. I want a handuk.
Buy a pistol. Then.
But
I don't
gratis
think
is
we
my
want to do
favorite.
that. Sorry, especially you and I don't think we want to do that. It's kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
But we've got another question here. Is it this one that we're picking?
No.
That's done already. How many minutes do we have left? We've got 3 minutes left. Do you guys have any tips for the credits? Nah.
Credit.
No. What information particular should have in specific course requirements?
So yeah, maybe while you are.
Well, okay. Let's. I'll actually. Yeah, exactly. I'll pick what Torki was saying. If you had 2 sentences to say to convince somebody that Chalmers is the place to go, why Chalmers is the question. How would you put it? We can start in any order, randomly. Go ahead.
First year first.
Me? Alright. So, Chalmers is a beautiful place to study and to grow as a human, as a mankind. And then Gothenburg provides you many things to have life, to have a good life, sport events, music events, and then good housing, tram. And it's a really once in a lifetime experience.
Okay. So Chalmers is a once in a lifetime experience. That's the compressed sentence.
Okay, advanced technology means nothing if it's not sustainable. In Chalmers, you have both advanced technology and sustainability.
Damn! Look at him. He's gotten really good at this. Yeah. Sustainability and technology in one. That's Chalmers.
Well, for me, if you want to get exposed with international cultural experience, but at the same time learning and like gaining more knowledge and perspectives, then Chalmers is the place.
There you go. One more tagline. And
Why Chalmers? It's a work and life balance. So that's it.
work and life balance. I want to close with this really interesting question. Mahmoud Sobey asks, at Chalmers, is there a Muslim community? What do you say?
Definitely.
There is.
Yes,
Yeah,
there is.
So we're holding Friday prayers every Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where are you guys going after this?
So we are going to pray.
Exactly. You guys are going to Friday prayer now after this. So yes, there is a Muslim community. We have a prayer room at the University Student Union House. So there's no problem for you to find a place to pray or to just spend some quiet time. And I guess we can take this last question as well. Do you find it expensive? How do you manage? Are you all scholarship students? Except Ferry, of course. He's got a salary. I think he's paying these people. But what about you? Are you scholarship students?
Yes.
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 I'm not a scholarship student, but there are some ways that I can sustain my life. Like for
Right.
example, doing the part-time jobs.
Yeah.
And besides that, there are some other scholarship that is offered. Like for example, Rotary International Student Housing Scholarship,
Mm-hmm,
and also a scholarship from my department as well. So
Right.
yeah, there are several other scholarships that you can apply for.
Right. Exactly. So there are ways to keep it cheap, to keep it financially viable. There are scholarships, then there are other ways to make it happen. In this case, you've got an LPDP scholarship.
Yes.
You're also an LPDP scholarship, and that's a salary over there.
And also, how do you guys manage your financial there? One of my tips would be cook. Yeah, don't eat out too much because the cost of eating out and cooking would be different,
Very different.
very different,
Right.
significantly.
It also depends on your lifestyle. So if you can
Right.
keep it low, you can
Yeah,
sustain
exactly.
it.
Well, that was the end of our webinar. I'm going to say thank you to you guys, and a very big thank you. I mean, it's a great honor that you guys came and you guys answered these questions. It's very nice of you. I will just start. I will take the camera now, and I will try to. You can leave if you wish, and I will close the webinar really quickly. So I'm back in the view. Thank you, and I would like to say thank you very much for attending the webinar. We have been recording this entire webinar. You can keep in touch with us through all our social media channels. If you have any questions, like I said in the beginning, you can contact us on the email address nextstop@chalmers.se. We have a Facebook group just for you, Next Stop Chalmers Indonesia. Join the group and you can talk to everybody that actually attended today, I'm hoping, and also the other people. Like for example, Aksa is in that group. He should be able to answer your questions. The recording of the video of the webinar will be put up on YouTube a little later today or maybe by tomorrow. So if you want to watch it again, you can go ahead and watch it on YouTube. So go subscribe to our channel. Thank you for joining us today. That was Chalmers University of Technology. Our motto is for a sustainable future. Our vision is for a sustainable future for your future.